What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Webull. Webull's been on my radar for quite some time, and I've received multiple requests to actually start doing videos on it. So I wanted to go over some of the data points, what's been really plaguing it, and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So Webull did have a pretty rough Friday. So it did go down 6.3%, $11 the low, $11.52 the high, but we have seen fairly good volume. So 28 million shares being traded, 28.1 is the average. So ultimately, when it comes down to Webull, it's had a horrible October. And so over the last 1 month, down 15.38%. A lot of people see this price action and automatically jump to the conclusion that it's being manipulated and that it's a squeeze play. So I wanted to kind of talk about that. But some things that have really been plaguing Webull is just the valuation concerns. So you can even see right here, based on the Seeking Alpha quantitative data, it does show the valuation as a F. Plus, even if you compare it to, for instance, Robinhood and IBKR, the PS ratio, so Webull is sitting at 5.12, Robinhood 32.1, and so of course they're very innovative, a lot of different revenue sources, very well diversified, so they kind of do meet that multiple and kind of justify it. Then IBKR sitting at 4.8. So in my opinion, IBKR definitely is a pretty good deal, but the negative side of Webull is that they are not very well diversified. They're working on it, but for right now, they are not. So there's just been a lot of valuation concerns, and then most recently, lockup expiry. So a lot of people were very kind of panicked at the beginning of October that 450 plus million shares were going to kind of hit the market. None of that actually so far has come to fruition, but it's that certain level of fear. And again, with fear, people automatically assume it's a squeeze play. So even though, on a side note, and just for full transparency, I do own Webull. I actually do have a price target on it on my Patreon because I do feel like it has a lot of good upside in the foreseeable future, but I wouldn't obviously be fair to go over and analyze Webull without giving you some of the negatives. So of course, I do feel that the valuation is a little bit high, but it's also not a squeeze play. So only 1.68% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 2.8 million shares overall being shorted. Even when it did run up to that $79 plus range, like it was only 0.5% of the free floats being shorted. So I definitely do not see Webull in any aspect being a squeeze play. Even most recently, it was at about 9-10%-ish. That was when Webull was roughly around that $15 range, and so they returned a lot. So they kind of returned into a lot of that fear, the lockup fear and so forth. So again, if you kind of analyze it that way, it shows that over the last 1 month, that sell-off was unjustified, but it had nothing to do with shorts. So even going forward, I don't really see Webull being a squeeze play whatsoever. When it comes to the overall volume though, shorts do make up for roughly around 30% of the daily volume. So you can kind of see right here, for instance, on the 17th, 6.9 million in total volume. So even though I don't see Webull being a squeeze play, very low percentage of the free float being shorted, what they do is they trade back and forth throughout the day. So by the end, they do return what they pretty much did. So I guess if you want to think about it that way, there is a little bit of manipulation. So they tried to kill the momentum early on, then they return, but total volume about 15 million. So like I said, between 20 to 35% of the volume every single day is attributed to shorts, but still it kind of signals that they're trading back and forth with each other. Institutions aren't really doing that much with Webull. And again, I think that has to do with just lack of innovation coming from Webull. Looking at the options on Friday, we did have 13 million in calls, 8.3 million in puts, despite it hitting kind of the low 11s. 47% of all the options being done are bearish in nature. So there's a little bit more downside anticipated. From a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around that $12 plus range by the end of this upcoming week. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub $11. So despite everything, you see a little bit of upside, but still the consensus is that we are going to be seeing kind of lower lows. And still, despite everything, you're not really seeing that much attention or any attention coming from analysts. So far, only 2. So it did get one about 24 days ago, initiated coverage by $19 price target. Rosenblatt, Chris has a 59% success rating. Then you did also have Northland. Michael, who has a 49% success rating, did give a buy $18 price target. So as a consensus, $18.50, and that does represent a 68.03% upside. So still analysts are hesitant about Webull. So most likely they'll have to wait for their next upcoming earnings just to see exactly how things are. But right now, those earnings have not been announced yet for the date, so we just have to sit tight. Right now with it at 11:01. So going into this upcoming week, it is trading between this S2 and this S3. So 1096 is a strong support. So very much overdone, like I said. And even the fact that shorts returned a lot over the last 1 month, it also does signal that they've been hit. So I guess coming from a short-term value play definitely is there. Long term, I think they need to diversify a little bit more to get there and justify a higher multiple. But to be honest, it's not that hard to do. You can easily do that. AI makes things relatively cheap, and you can easily do that. We see a lot of other stocks such as SoFi, IBKR doing that exact same thing. And I listened in on the IBKR most recent earnings call last week, and they are doing a lot of using and kind of leaning on AI to complete a lot of their innovative kind of things for the foreseeable future. So Webull can definitely do that. But going into this upcoming week, 1229 and then 1312 is going to be the next strong kind of target / resistance points. If this 1096 does fail to hold, then in theory, you could see that 746 being hit. So things could get very real very fast and not in a good way. And so ultimately just keep that in mind. A lot of people really like this. I think more and more people are kind of drawn to it, but still maybe for the wrong reasons. They're getting into it because they think it's a squeeze play. So some people, I don't know where, maybe some influencers started calling it a squeeze play. I don't know where that kind of came from. Aside from that though, on the actual chart going into this upcoming week, it is below that 10-day moving average. So it goes to show that it is losing some momentum. And even looking at the market position right over here, you don't really see that much willing buyers at all. So things could get very real, like I said, in a very negative way. So possibly you might see more pain before things actually do get better. But like I said, if you are a long-term investor such as myself, then Webull definitely needs to be added to kind of your watch list, or potentially just kind of dabble a little bit, dollar cost average, because once they do start to innovate a little bit more, then they'll get a higher multiple, and then the stock price will go up very fast, similar to what we saw with Robinhood. So let me know your thoughts on Webull. So in general, like I said, I think it's has a lot of good potential to really move up higher from here. But in the short term, I think that there might be a little bit more downside. But again, it all depends on your time horizon. For instance, options are very active with Webull. So if you do believe, hypothetically, it'll go to, I don't know, just throwing up back to that $14 range, which isn't far-fetched whatsoever. But if you feel that $14 is realistic by, let's say, the end of November, that does represent a 27% increase just from the common stock. But you could buy a long call and make a 100% return on risk. So it's all about perspective. If you do buy into the fear, you can make some pretty good money, bigger picture, through options or just common stock. I think regardless, Webull should and will do pretty good things in the foreseeable future. So let me know your thoughts on Webull, and hit that thumbs up if you haven't already. And let me know in the comments if you want me to do more Webull videos, or is this just more of a one-off type of thing. So let me know your thoughts. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Worthwhile to kind of pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.